we're just baffled. We're just baffled. And I can tell you what Summer's mom told me, and what her father told me about the night that she disappeared, and it's baffling. It's I just it just seems so unreal.
When you arrived there, what were you told had happened?
Well, I'd spoken with Candus, and I believe Dawn was already there too. And where the main house is, Candus's mother also lives on the property in a trailer. It's kind of like a camper trailer that you pull, I believe. And that camper trailer is probably about, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 foot from the main house. It's separated by a driveway. And Candace said that her and Summer and their mom, they were out there planting flowers. They had been swimming earlier that day, and they got home and they were planting flowers. And Summer wanted to go inside her house and play. So Candace watched Summer walk from the camper into the front door. And she watched her walk into the house. The brothers were in there, and I can't recall, they might have been on the internet or they might have been watching TV. I apologize, I can't remember exactly. And she said that the brothers came in or Summer came in, and the brothers saw Summer go down into the basement to play. And then Candace said that, a few minutes later, I think she said maybe like 20 minutes later, she came in looking for Summer, and the boys told Candace that Summer was down in the basement. Candace went down there, and Summer was gone. Keeping in mind that there's the front door of the house, and down in the basement there's a door that leads to the outside. So those are the only two doors that are in and out. And as far as and that's when she notified the police when they could not find her.
Did they tell you if the basement door was open or closed or locked or?
They told me it was locked, and the children even told me that it was locked. So with that, the front door was the only way in or out.
And can she reach that lock down there? Or does she know how to unlock it?
That I do not know. I've not actually been in the basement myself. I don't know how it's set up down there. But as far as one of the sons did tell me that the door was locked while she was down there, and Summer's mom, she confirmed that with me, because that was one of my things. So I don't know if Summer went in there and the boys were playing and she came back out. I just don't know.
Has any of the neighbors, did they see anything? Did they hear anything?
As far as to my knowledge, no. And the way that the house is, it's kind of secluded away from the road. It's actually up on like a little hill, and it's surrounded by very thick woods. So it's out here, your closest neighbor might be 50 yards to you. So it's really it's not like when you're in the city, your neighbor's house is just a few foot from yours. So it's a very secluded area.
So if she was, oh, go ahead.
Nope, you got it. Go.
If the basement door was locked, and the only other way would be the front door, where is the front door facing, and would they be able to see her?
The way the front door faces, if for example, if Candus was outside and even her mother was outside, if they had their backs turned, there's a good possibility they could not have seen her walk out.
Right.
So one of the things I just want to back up is so when she watched Summer walk into the house, and then approximately 20 minutes later, she had gone back to help Grandma with the knee brace and whatnot. So did you say 20 minutes later? I just want to make sure I got that time right.
Yeah, I believe that's what she told me. because when I asked her how long she'd been missing, she said it'd been about 20 minutes. But and I'm almost positive that's what she told me. And of course, I'm giving my statement to the TBI and everything. They were like, hey, we need for you to give a statement. Why are you here? So
how'd you get here? What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. And I was more than happy to give my statement.
Did she say that her and Grandma went out and walked around and looked for Summer? Did they call for Summer?
Yes, they did walk around and call, and the boys were looking for her. And as far as I don't know what time frame that they looked for her, and then called the police. That I don't know what that was. And that might have been that 25 minutes that she told me. That might have included them walking around looking for. Because when I asked her, I said, "Hey, have you called the police? And how long has she been missing?" And she said, "Yes, we have called the police, and she's been missing about 25 minutes."
That's kind of what I was wondering, because that kind of goes along with what she had said to us as well, was that she, sent her inside. A couple minutes later, she found she was missing and walked around looking for her. So
right. So that's what I was thinking. Probably that 25 minutes is probably included in when they were looking for her. Would be my thought.
Are they still actively searching on the ground for her?
No, ma'am. They are not.
That's certain. But I know they've covered so much. Where else do you go? Which direction do you go? I know there's a stopping point, but I don't want them to ever stop.
Yeah, this is just so heartbreaking, and the family has been attacked.
At that time, I had 3
Yeah. So you think somebody got it?
for sure.
How would they do it, you think?
It'd be easy enough to sneak up that dog trail and stay hidden. And at the end of the tree line, you wouldn't hardly be able to notice anybody there, especially if they had camo on. You wouldn't even see them. And it would just have to wait for the right second for somebody to step out that door or go into the basement or whatever. Our neighbors, at that time heard a scream, and she thought it was a really weird scream, like somebody had her mouth covered the whole time, and she was trying to catch a breath, kind of a scream. She could scream loud.
How close was that neighbor?
Well, from the bottom, from the Ben Hill Road down at the bottom, their driveway is directly across from ours almost, and it just goes straight up to their hill, and we live on this hill.
So you don't think Candus would have heard that?
No, because I can pull up in our driveway and honk the horn, and they can't even hear that. If the TV's on inside and everything like that. So Candus is inside the house searching, looking, going through the basement and everything else, and where's Summer? And
maybe went for the scream. So the muffled scream, she wouldn't be able to hear it from the front yard.
Well, if she was outside, yes. But if she was inside, no.
Was she outside or inside?
Well, we don't know for sure. She was looking all through the house, everywhere. I'd say she's probably inside.
But when the scream happened, do you think?
Probably. Because if she would have been outside, she probably would have heard it. Yeah.
Is there anything about Candus's story that makes you question the story?
No, not the way it played out and everything like that. I mean, yeah, you always have questions, and I'd ask myself, and with the way that it happened and her emotions and her state of mind.
What were the questions that you had?
I mean, I don't really have any. I mean, I don't really have any questions. I mean,
did you talk to your boys about what happened?
The questions, yeah. My one boy feels bad because he didn't go downstairs and play. And I was really down one day, and my other son comes and says, "Dad, it's not my fault." I said, "I know, son, I know it's not your fault." I had to tell him I was sorry for whatever way I was acting,
Sometimes you get upset.
It's part of being human. It's tough.
So when you had questions for Candus, let's get back to that for a second. So what were you?
Mostly about Allie and Hunter and their family and the way they turned on us suddenly. As soon as Summer got gone, they turned on us. And I don't understand that. I don't know the whole story I wish she was here and I wish she would answer these questions.
Yeah.
Because she knows firsthand that I
You
don't.
gotta remember something. Tell us, you gotta tell us something.
I don't know, it's like they blamed us right away for her disappearance, like we've done something. You did something to your daughter or something to that effect. I can't be sure word for word, you know, but I know it's something to that effect.
Yeah. I know you've been talking to everybody on the planet, but there's got to be some. What usually solves problems is what else? What else do you know that you haven't said to anybody? Or what else do you know that we haven't heard?
Yeah.
Such as...
We don't know. I mean, that's the whole point. It might be that one piece that somebody can put story together.
I don't know.
Is there a part you haven't said that you, like you told me a couple things on the phone? You've said a couple things, maybe there's some things you haven't said to somebody else that you've told me. So think of the things that the reasons you think she might be.
Whoops. Sorry about that. Hello, welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. I'm a licensed cognitive behavior therapist and a licensed mental health counselor. Today, let me start by actually wishing everyone a happy Sunday. I hope everyone's doing well. And today I'd like to talk about the important case that has always been in my mind that I haven't given up on. I know there are so many important cases going on, so many missing children that have been murdered. I hate to say that, like Quentin Simon. And that is really sad. But the reason that I don't talk much about Quentin Simon's case, God bless his soul, is because it is an active FBI case. I personally try to say to the facts, and I try my best not to get myself too involved with cases, especially when they're active, and especially when the FBI is involved in Quentin's case. This is a vulnerable, delicate case, and I can see all the YouTubers and all the madness that is being done in front of the house. I personally, in my opinion, don't appreciate that. I don't think it's right because they are neighbors, and the neighbors do not need that stress. That is completely unfair because I don't believe by YouTubers, without saying names, going there is going to do anything good. I can understand when it was the case of Brian Laundrie, that was a bit different when people were going in front of the house and making a scene. Although I don't think that was respectful enough, but that case was more like Brian hiding himself after he committed a murder and domestic violence. That was then, may God bless Gabby Vinora Petito, his soul. That was a very sad case. But what I'm trying to say is the case of Quentin is an active case. I don't think anyone has the right to be... I know people can express their freedom of speech and their freedom of rights, but there has to be a boundary. Because when people are wondering, this is my personal opinion, this is for entertainment purpose only, guys. So, family, when it comes to an active case like Quentin, I personally do not believe that all that nonsense and all that yelling is going to change Quentin's mother or grandmother's mind. FBI, many people don't understand and are upset that FBI is not making arrests, but I do understand the reason that they're not doing it. Because the more these people are on social media, the more they give them their space, FBI on the other side is working and digging all the garbage to get that little boy's human remains. May God bless his soul. This is an unfit family, from the grandmother to the mother. I've said that before. The grandmother has had no right to leave the child behind. I've heard some people even saying that, yeah, but the grandmother had the right to go and she had a job and all that. If she had a job, she should have left Quentin, his brother, and his little sister in safe hands, especially Quentin and the brother, because those two children, she's taking the custody of them. You can't go to court and demand custody for your grandchildren and then later on leave the grandchildren to the mother who is unfit, who's on drugs. I'm being honest. Because clearly we saw what happened in this case is that this is neglection, this is disobeying the court and the law, and I don't understand why. I'm not going to blame CPS, but I don't understand why the government are not monitoring certain people when they can see that the cases of the children are very vulnerable. The grandmother, according to me, has a lot to blame, but that is not my job. But I am saying that as a parent, if my mother took over my children and she, God forbid, she saw that I was unfit to look after my children, then in the UK, to start with, it should have been very monitored. Anyone who takes over foster children or adopts children or even takes custody of their own blood children, it's all the same. Over here, I'll be honest, children are a real priority. Real priority, first priority. In all our trains and tubes, it's written on the underground everywhere. See something, say something, sorted. There's cameras everywhere looking after certain crimes. And if this happened in the UK, social service would have been on their door monitoring them every time. They would have put Quentin, Zane, and his little sister, especially the two boys, in a nursery at once. And they would have made sure that they contact the school counselors, the nursery counselors. They would have made sure that these children got mental health help to start with, because there's a mother who's very disorganized, who's on drugs. So many things went wrong, and this is not the first time. Look at poor Cynthia and Classic, Owen and Awesome, what happened to their case. I think that the government needs to support the CPS because they're overloaded with work. The government needs to pitch in more and follow what's going on. We clearly saw Billy Joe, is that her name? Yeah, the grandmother. Her social media, she was talking about how if she could like put her family in a certain category, what she would have said. She clearly said that they are dysfunctional. So such things, especially on media, is not a joke. It shouldn't be taken easy. But coming back to the Quentin case, I hope it gets solved. But now I want to go to the main case, that is the Summer Moon Utawell's case. The person who was talking was David Dotson. The reason that I played that clip, to start with, I would really love to thank the Unmasked. They were brilliant in what they do. May God bless them. And they managed to take a couple of important interviews, but immediately, most of the interviews, they put it down, and I believe for a reason. TBI, I heard, was using it as evidence. Sorry, somebody's knocking my door, and I don't understand why my son, he's getting up now to open it. Sorry about that. My nephew and my family were supposed to come and visit me. That's another case. coming back to the Summer Wells's case, David Dotson works in the church where Summer, her brothers, and her parents, Dawn and Candus, used to attend. I don't want to stop this clip. I hope somebody answers it. Sorry, guys. It's Sunday, I guess. All three of them. I have a 26-year-old daughter here on holiday, and she's sleeping. It's early Sunday. Yeah, somebody's opening it finally. So coming back to the case, I really apologize about that. David Dotson is a very important person in this case because not only does he work in the church, he was one of the first people that the family called. When they called David Dotson, they called actually Robin first. And Robin was busy with the church choir or something like that. So they called Robin. Robin did not pick up the phone. Robin did not pick up the phone. So what they did is they called David Dotson from the church. When they called David Dotson from the church, he was the first person to actually come to the scene. And you all heard clearly what David Dotson said. David Dotson said that when he came, Candus told him clearly that the kids were actually playing their video clips or video games or such things. Summer Wells went down to the basement and he asked the boys, David said that he asked the boys and the boys said that the door was locked. Now that is a very important part of the whole alibi and the timeline. That's how you know that Candus is clearly giving out false statements. It's always important to check ground zero, what happened at the start. David Dotson is an important witness because he was the first person that they called when Summer went missing. The boys have no reason to lie. These are young boys under 13 years old. They said clearly that Summer was in the basement playing with the toys and the basement door was locked. We've heard that from Jose, God bless himself, God bless his soul. He has even said that from the start. We've heard that from Allison, although she's not a reliable witness and she's part of the timeline too. We've heard that from Hunter. We've heard that from the neighbors. That door was locked. And we've heard clearly that David Dotson said that Candus told him that she was away for 20 minutes. Now that is the part of the timeline that is important, that the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations are keeping it close to their vest. David Dotson was even told later on in that clip, because I cut it short, he even said that Candus showed him pictures and she said that she took all her 4 children swimming. I don't know if she showed him pictures from another time, but Candus is clearly lying. She's always been lying from the start for a very long time. 20 minutes was passed since Summer was gone. So where was she in that 20 minutes? That is important to know because we've heard rumors and we've heard allegedly that Candus left the property twice before Summer went missing. I find that to be extremely important because David Dotson has no reason to lie. I've even heard people talking about saying that he works in the place that they cremate bodies, but David Dotson said that he came there and law enforcement was already there. So he wouldn't be helping these people to get rid, God forbid, to get rid of Summer's body, anything like that. We have to stick to the facts, and the facts is that Candus has been lying from the start. No wonder we don't see any empathy or remorse from Candus. She's been hiding herself. She doesn't even put out flyers for her daughter. She doesn't even care about her daughter. Neither does Dawn. Dawn, the other clip that I played of Dawn with the behavior panel is very important. The way you hear what Dawn is saying is it sounds like an alibi that he made. When Dawn clearly says that the dog trail, I don't believe in the dog trail because it's only Dawn that has been going around and saying, it's only Dawn that's been going around and saying that the dog trail existed. We haven't heard that from law enforcement. We haven't heard that from Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Plus, let's not forget, law enforcement and the TBI brought canine dogs to the scene. So there hasn't been any confirmation from law enforcement. The canine dogs, I apologize about that. The canine dogs were around the property and they would have caught the scent of the dog trail that Dawn is talking about. Another thing that we should remember, since it's been a year and a half, let's summarize about this. Dawn Wells says he was at work. We have no proof because he's a self-employed person, he works for himself. He says that his boss can confirm it, but we've never heard confirmation about that. The strange thing is that Candus called Dawn when Summer was missing. If your child is missing, common sense would say call 911 immediately because they have the resources, they have the skills, they have everything from a helicopter to cars to everything. She decided to call Dawn and Dawn told her to call law enforcement and then Dawn called law enforcement first from Jonesburg and then Candice called law enforcement from Hawkins County. So you see, I believe that was an alibi for Dawn to say, yes, I was in Jonesburg. The reason I was in Jonesburg is you can clearly see I called 911. So there's something not right with the story. And then we have Jody Sue Brown that the whole YouTube is talking about. I don't talk much about Jody Sue Brown because I believe if Jody Sue Brown was actually in it, she would have been arrested for a long time ago. It is clearly Dawn and Candus that have done something. Candus came, let's summarize about that. Candus came on Dr. Phil and she walked out when she was asked about, what was it called? Let me remember. The cornbread mafia. Kind of strange because the cornbread mafia was from Kentucky. It was about that guy, John Boone. I remember his story well, but then that had nothing to do with the story. But for Candus, you saw she started crying when the behavior panel was asking her questions of Dr. Phil. She decided to walk out. I'm not saying she's guilty, but the way she was acting shows that she was guilty. Dawn says he was at work, but then Dawn talks about the dog trail like he was there. He says that if you stand in the dog trail and you hide yourself from the cameras, then you can come in quickly. So for him to be actually giving out such a story, it sounds like he himself was in the dog trail. Then he lied about, keeping on lying about constantly saying that the FBI and the Tennessee Bureau TBI said that the dog trail that the Summer's scent was caught in the dog trail. Obviously, Summer lives in the house. Her brothers live in the house. Their scent is going to be everywhere. But you'll hear David Dotson clearly say that the property is in a very isolated place. We all know that it's in the hill. Another thing that I should remind you is TBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, works with foul play. They work with human trafficking. They work with gang-related crimes. So TBI doesn't come for fun. When Sheriff Ronnie Lawson came and he saw the Wells and their story did not add up, that was on the 15th of June 2021 when Summer Wells went missing. On the 16th, the next day, the TBI was called. TBI deals with serious human trafficking, and Tennessee, Hawkins County has a lot of things going on with human trafficking and such things. And this is not allegedly, this is a fact. So when TBI came on the 16th, of on the June, immediately they took the endangerment alert and they put it to amber alert. Amber alert is the highest alert you can get. That means it had to be that a vehicle was involved or they have some clue that this is serious. When a person's life is in extreme danger, that is when an amber alert comes out. Look at Kylie Rodney's case recently, the 16-year-old girl from California. Everyone was so focused on that case, but everyone was asking the question, why wasn't an amber alert put out? Even for Orrin and Austin West, the amber alert wasn't put out quickly, but for Summer Wells, it was put out immediately because TBI knows the parents. They know that they both are criminals. They know they both are under drug addiction. They used to come on YouTube. This is a fact. We all know that. They used to come on YouTube drunk. That's how Don Wells got arrested. By coming to YouTube drunk, and then he went to get cigarettes. He drove down when the people in the chat and everyone was telling him not to do that. I believe that TBI and law enforcement always searches for some excuse to put you in jail while they're trying to solve the case. And Don gave them excuse. Another thing that I wanted to mention is Don's ex-wife, Pamela, and his son, who's 31 years old. It's kind of strange. Both of them, I've done my research, have been written on that address in Ben Hill Road. Pamela is very good friends on Facebook with Candus, but not with Don. It's not so often you see two ex, one ex and one who's married to Don, being friends. What's her name? Pamela was arrested for meth. So this is something, if you do a case study, you can see clearly that this family has a lot of drug addiction. They have a lot of alcoholism going on. Candus has been hiding herself from day one up to now because she knows that she was the last person to see Summer. David Dotson is a decent man who works in the church, and you could clearly see how he was talking in the clip that I just recorded. He said that the boys told him that the basement door was locked. You always go at the first alibi that was told. Later on, I don't know why Tennessee Borough said Summer was seen last outside her house barefoot, and she wandered off. She couldn't wander off when there's snakes and bears and everything. Summer was taught from the start not to wander off. Another thing, when Dawn and Candus keep on saying that this is abduction, many people try and convince me in the comments and say that it's abduction. No, it can't be abduction. The reason it can't be an abduction is because the property is located in a very isolated place, like Chris McDonough said. Like and share and subscribe to him. And another thing that it can't be an abduction is you had 3 boys left alone in that property very often, even on the day Summer Wells went missing. So why would an abductor come to a full house and abduct one child when they have the free advantages to get 3 children? That doesn't make sense. So all the people who support Candus and Dawn, just watch Dr. Phil. Candus had no reason to walk out. I've even given you that example before of the most famous abduction case, that is the McCains. Many people put the blame on them at the start, but the only thing they did was negligent. They shouldn't have left those children alone while they were sitting on the Tampa restaurant and drinking. That is wrong of them. But the McCains stuck together. They were tight. They were always, not only were they educated doctors, but that is the way parents do if their child is really missing. You don't see Candus crying out for help for a child. Candus was busy crying out about Jenna that she got to know in YouTube, and then Jenna dropped the friendship and she was crying and saying that Jenna betrayed me. She just got to meet Jenna a couple of weeks on YouTube. She's supposed to be crying for a 5-year-old daughter who's missing. I feel really sad and I get really... Sorry that if I'm talking loudly, guys, but honestly, this case bothers me. Because nothing is done by this case. I hope TBI comes with answers. This is really, really sad that a 5-year-old girl, his life went like that. Summer Wells had nobody to talk to support her. She didn't have a voice of her own. There's a reason the boys have been taken, and there's a gag order on the boys. Now, coming to the main thing, when we summarize it, on the 28th of October 2022, that will be in 7 days' time, Candus is going to court with the CPS to try and get her children back. I don't think and I don't believe that will ever happen. Because at the rate she is, she hasn't fixed herself, she hasn't gone to a mental health counseling, she hasn't gone to an addiction program. We don't know where she's hiding or what she's doing. But nothing changes with Candus. And I heard that if Candus gets her children back, it is only one condition, that she stays away from Don. I don't think Bonnie and Clyde are going to stay away from each other. And I think those boys are safe where they are. They have already, it's been a year and a half, they lost their sister, but they were decent families. Their schools, everything seemed to be going well. So they should have been already in CPS's hand from the start. It is so sad that many people have complained about the Wells. Every time they get caught with something, they move to another city. They move to another place. So this is unexplainable, and I would never believe that the foul play wasn't involved. If foul play wasn't involved, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation wouldn't be called in. An Amber Alert is still put out there for summer. We've even heard the red Toyota Tacoma. It came 2 days later. That is a strange thing. Whoever said that must have seen a red Toyota Tacoma around those areas. But I don't believe Summer was abducted in a red Toyota. I believe Don Wells knows and Candus knows. Maybe an accident happened because we saw Summer in the car sleeping on the milk cartons, the famous picture, and we heard Candus clearly saying, "Does she have a hand up?" And the person said, "No." And then she said, "Oh, I thought so." So maybe Summer was already conscious, or Summer was, God forbid, on the way to pass away. They were taking Summer somewhere to hide Summer as human remains. God forbid. But that's what I believe. We can't hide from the truth, because these people are walking away from Dr. Phil. These people his interviews don't make sense. Then you have Allison, on the other hand, sitting and coaching her son Hunter to say he was in the park at 1 hour and 36 minutes. So I don't know what Hunter has done, because Hunter was part of the timeline, but he was very traumatized. He was very traumatized when this happened. So I don't understand who's involved and what has happened, but I really believe that we need to put our voices out for Summer Wells. It's been a year and a half. That little girl deserves her justice. If she's alive, she needs to be with safe people. If she's not around, she needs to be buried in peace, and justice needs to be served. As for Jody Sue Brown, when people say she's not involved, she got herself involved. When she was talking about Andy, and when she was talking about all these other people, saying that Andy was providing them drugs that sedated the children, all these people on the hill, Ben Hill, are involved. All of them are involved. So Don needs to stop lying, and he's coming back for part 2. He's coming out on the 30th of October, so let's see what he has to say. I don't think he has much to say, but I hope one of them starts talking, because this little girl needs to be found. Justice needs to be served, and Tennessee Bureau of Investigation are asking people not to get involved, but we've been watching for almost 2 years. Nothing is happening. Other places are definitely, look at Sincere and Classic. Trezell and Jacqueline West are coming to court in a couple of days' time. Trezell says that he's been threatened in jail, that he wanted to be put in another place. So I don't understand what is happening. They keep on postponing this case, and it's sad that they don't have the human remains of the 2 boys. Because let's remember, Barry Morphew walked away after whatever he did with Suzanne Morphew. You need the body of proof so that they have the evidence. But if there's no body, hopefully, I believe California and I believe District Attorney Zimmer, she's won many cases, and I really believe that they have Trezell and Jacqueline in the position they wanted, because they said they have a lot of evidence and they have witness. But in Summer Wells's case, I don't know how Tennessee's handling it, but they need to give that little girl her justice. I can see all our YouTuber creators are moving on to different cases, but I'm going to stand up for Summer till she gets her justice. This is really unfair. Cynthia and Classic, at least Trezell and Jacqueline are where they're supposed to be. But Summer has no one. Candus is acting like Summer never existed. Dawn is sitting here saying I have 7 alibis. Candus has none. She's going down. So what are the 7 alibis Dawn has? I won't be surprised if Dawn wasn't involved, because the timeline was Hunter, Summer, the grandma, and Candus. So I don't know if an accident happened. We could see Hunter splashing water on Summer the last day the clip was made, and Summer did not like that, and Candus was telling him to stop doing that. He's a young boy, 14, 15-year-old boy with ADHD. He was drinking, he was vaping, he was smoking, he was doing whatever he wants, and that doesn't go well with ADHD. He has impulsive ADHD. So I don't know if an accident happened with Hunter and Summer, or is it Candus and Summer, or is it Grandma Grandis, aka Grandis and Summer. Something happened, or Dawn must have come through the dog tree. Whatever happens needs to be sorted. I hope you get justice for Summer. And I hope everyone has a lovely day. Take care of yourselves. Look after your mental health and look after your physical health. Stay blessed, guys. Bye.